Good afternoon, everyone. We are back. Just want to make sure that everyone is here in the room. Thank you again so much for being here for the last couple of days. This is our last segment. Unfortunately, our networking session will be postponed as DJ Reyes is having a few issues with internet in Brazil. But rest assured that we will be back live with him. If anything, it'll be a live session here in Montreal for next year. And without further ado, we will start our masterclass with Nova Lorraine. And before we start, I just have a word from our sponsor, and then the floor is to you, Athalia, for the introduction.
Welcome to this exciting panel on innovation and social engagement. I am Ed Vertus, Vice President of Social Innovation at Groupe 3737, proud sponsor of the World Carnival Summit. At Groupe 3737, we understand the crucial importance of strategic partnership in driving innovation and creative, positive social impact. Our sponsorship in this event is essential as it allows us to promote cultural diversity in the business world, share our expertise, and create connections with potential partners on a global scale. I look forward to exploring with you how we can effectively collaborate to address global challenges and build a more equitable and prosperous future for all. This being said, please enjoy this panel, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to Groupe 3737 for this beautiful contribution. And without further ado, I'll leave the floor to Athalia.
Okay, awesome. So how do you say bon nuit in French? I think that's it. Am I close?
Bonne nuit or
Am
bonne journée.
Yeah, bonjour. Good
Yeah.
afternoon, everyone, and good morning, wherever part of the world you are. I'm Atalia Samuel, your Carnival ambassador, and one of your moderators here at the Montreal Carnival Summit. I am so excited because, of course, this person I'm going to introduce you in a second, Nova. But before I do such thing, I want to say to all the persons we have been having panel discussions for the past 3 days. And for the past 3 days, we have been expressing so much interest and hype about what we want and expect out of Carnival and what we expect out of the future for Montreal's Carnival. So without further ado, let me introduce my next guest. So Nova is here to speak on embracing innovation and social engagement. So let me do this awesome introduction of my guests for you guys. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce a trailblazing innovator, thought leader, and creative visionary, Nova Lorraine. Nova is a celebrated advocate for merging traditions with technology and culture with community. She has a remarkable ability to envision how modern tools can amplify the timeless spirit of Carnival, making it more accessible, engaging, and impactful than ever before. Today, Nova will lead us on an inspiring journey into the future of Carnival with her masterclass, Transform Your Carnival Experience, Embracing Innovation and Social Engagement. This session promises to be a game changer as Nova explores how emerging technologies like AI, which I'm so interested in hearing, augmented reality, and immersive storytelling can revolutionize Carnival experiences while staying true to their cultural essence. Beyond technology, Nova will dive into the heart of Carnival community. She'll share powerful strategies for building lasting connections with audiences, turning them into passionate ambassadors who carry Carnival's legacy far and wide. And with her expertise in fostering purpose-driven collaborations, Nova will offer invaluable insights into forging partnerships with enhancing your festival mission and sustainability. This is not just a presentation, it's an It's an interactive experience designed to inspire action, spark creativity, and empower you to emerge Carnival in a way that resonates across generations and borders. Please join me and welcome Nova Lorraine as she leads us to a transformative future for Carnival. Welcome, Nova Lorraine. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much, Adelia, and bonjour to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm actually physically in Montreal, even though we are doing this virtually today, and to be a part of this impactful conversation.
So before you get into what your presentation, I know a lot of people would think about AI and what it entails, but how did you say, you know what, let you merge Carnival and AI? Like what got you into that?
Well, I think anytime that you can bring technology down to the ground level where anyone can understand it, embrace it, and get access to it through a means such as Carnival, a very important global cultural event, it's something that I was honored to take advantage of. And for me, being from Jamaica and having, Caribbean roots, and to be able to blend these two interests and passions together is really exciting, because one of the things that drives me in terms of being in the space is the access that we can provide and how technology can be that great equalizer. And so if we have the aptitude and the intent to learn about the technology, we can then see how we can apply it to our everyday lives to benefit us both personally, socially, and of course, economically.
Awesome. So welcome my Caribbean person, because you're also from with your Jamaica roots. I want to say Wagwan. Okay, so I don't want to stop you. I know we also press for time, but I know you are going in depth with what you have come to present for us today. So the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen in a second. We could jump into the presentation. And just let me know if you can see the full screen. It's loading on my side.
I see.
Okay. Let me get it into full view on my side. Okay, here we go. All right, so you see the full screen?
Yes, I do. I believe that's the full screen with Shaping the Future of Carnival.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So as we mentioned, this conversation is about innovation and social engagement. And when we're talking about innovation, we're going to specifically dive into emerging technology. And when we speak about social engagement, what we're really talking about is storytelling, just a fancy word for storytelling. And there's many, many ways on how we can tell a story and how we can allow that story to reach others. So why are we here? We are here to leverage the power of emerging technology to increase storytelling, engagement, and revenue. And the technologies that we'll be covering will include generative AI, as well as AI, and blockchain and immersive spaces, 3D design. Some may refer to these spaces as the metaverse and or gaming environments, as well as blockchain. So what will we cover? We will be going in depth in how we can unlock the power of innovation. We'll be covering integrating AI, augmented reality, and immersive storytelling into the Carnival experience. We're going to explore how festivals can use these technologies for cultural impact. And then we'll be at creating meaningful social connections. How can we use these technologies to create a year-round community engagement platform? We'll also be talking about forging purpose-driven partnerships. The future is really about co-creation and collaboration, not only as it relates to creators, but also founders, Carnival content creators, event, event managers. How can you use collaboration to leverage your event, but then also leverage technology to deliver a better experience for your community? And then we'll have some time at the end for questions. So please take out your notepad or your smart pad or your notebook and start jotting down questions as I go. So what is my journey? So I, as I mentioned, was born in Jamaica, one of six, and I grew up in Connecticut in the US. I now live in New York, and my journey has been very much a zigzag pathway to where I am today. It started with clinical psychology, pursuing my PhD. And, during that journey, one day going to class, I had a divine download that I was going to help people through my love of fashion. And now, setting the stage, as I mentioned, I was growing up in Connecticut. And for any of you who has not been to very small state, it was really known for its farms many moons ago, and it's still very much agricultural. And so, although sandwiched between Boston and New York, it might as well be as far as California as it relates to fashion or music or art in terms of vibrancy in that state. There are some pockets of culture, especially with the large Caribbean population in Connecticut, but I was pretty much isolated from anything that you would see in the big cities. And so when I had received this download, it really surprised me, because outside of using every day as my runway, I didn't have any formal training or exposure to fashion. Well, I decided to pursue that nudge, which became an overwhelming, I wouldn't even say impulse. It was like, this was my purpose. This was our mission. This is what I needed to do. And I finished up early with my master's, moved to New York to go to FIT and study, and that's the Fashion Institute of Technology, and study fashion design. And about 3 years after graduation and leaving New York City, I returned to launch Nova Lorraine, my namesake couture fashion company. And my initial collection garnered me the Best Haute Couture Designer of the Year award, 2 consecutive annual nominations as the rising star from the Fashion Group International, featured in Essence magazine multiple times, Italian Vogue, On the View, and many films and TV projects along the way. Well, about 5 years into that journey, I was inspired to launch Raine magazine, a platform, a digital platform for creative entrepreneurs. And we were looking for the future of fashion, culture, and technology. And so that was about 2007, Raine was launched. And in 2013, I did an article on Bitcoin. Now, if you've been following the news, Bitcoin has reached its all-time high of $95,000 plus per Bitcoin. But at the time that I did the article, Bitcoin was about $300. And I was fascinated with this concept of digital currency. And that was my little seed into the world of Web3. In 2017, I then did another deep dive and came across 3 other future quote unquote Bitcoins, one of them being Ethereum, and took my bet on Ethereum as being the next major cryptocurrency. And that came to realization in 2020. And in January 2020, I decided to take a full-time pivot into Web3, applying my knowledge of storytelling, media, and fashion in this new space of emerging technology. After a couple of years, I then fell into the rabbit hole of generative AI. I recently published my second book called The Jockey on the Horse, A Creative's Guide to AI. And so for over the last 2.5 years, I've been very immersed in generative AI and converging all of these technologies into the house of Nova, where we both have a creative agency and our own luxury fashion collection. So what is Web3? Web3 incorporates concepts such as decentralization, token-based assets, and ownership. It's powered by blockchain, and where we cut out the middleman and we can directly connect with each other, exchange with each other. And we also are allowed through blockchain more trust, transparency, and autonomy. And also it includes immersive technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality, immersive spaces, as well as generative AI. And what we're going to do is go into a deep dive on these technologies so you have a very strong foundation of what it is that these various technologies are, how are they being used today in a general sense, and then we'll go more niche into how they can be applied to the carnival space. So why all this around Web3? Why should we care? Well, it has shown to be a new medium for creative expression. It opens up creative expression in a way where you can now have digital assets. You can have immutable assets on blockchain, where whatever you put on there may be words, music, video, imagery, it cannot be changed, but it can also be tagged with a whole lot of information and data, and it can be viewed publicly. It's something that musicians, creators, entrepreneurs, innovators have embraced as this new digital city that's built on emerging technology. And with that includes immersive and more connected experiences thanks to virtual reality, ARs. If any of you have used Snapchat, you're using AR, Instagram filters. That's a common place where people will get access to AR. And we have experiences where we're blending both the physical and digital worlds with these technologies. So you don't have to take my word for it. Let's just look at the numbers. We have a market size of almost $50 billion just a few years away. When we break down what blockchain makes up, we're looking at a $1 trillion market, not too long off in 2036. We see consumers want digital assets. 50% who were surveyed wanted digital assets. And we see generative AI also being a $1 trillion plus industry in 2032. So you heard of me mention immersive spaces, and some of the worlds that you may have come across, or your children anyway, have dabbled in include Roblox, Decentraland, Fortnite, Sandbox, and Spatial. There are many, many, many more, but these are some of your more known and financially successful worlds. Roblox, I believe in 2023, generated about $2.8 billion in revenue. And a lot of their revenue is driven by their digital assets, in particular, fashion. Decentraland, they had a very, very successful start a few years ago as a new immersive space where they were earning revenue streams of almost $400,000 in fees in just a few days. You have Fortnite that is in the, I believe, the $28 billion range as it relates to revenue. And where you have 72% of consumers having access to virtual worlds, this isn't just a hype train. So what are the opportunities for engagement? We're going to be touching on digital assets, avatars, e-commerce, AR, AI, and gaming, and digital experiences. So digital assets. Now, I believe it was maybe in 2022, Fabricant, one of the two largest digital only fashion houses that launched in this Web3 market, estimated that about 15% of the wardrobe we own will be digital. And they estimated that would be by 2025, if I'm mistaken. Now, they may be a little off in terms of when this will happen, but it definitely will happen, where we are looking at digital assets as such as Bitcoin, for example, or Dogecoin, starting with currency and fintech, financial technology, as being one of your biggest use cases. NFTs, I'm sure most of you here have heard about the various NFTs that have sold for millions of dollars about a year or two ago. Digital assets are something that's going to gain more and more attention and prominence in the years to come. Why? Because we as a society globally are becoming more digital. And when our money goes on chain, and we are seeing this happening right before our eyes, if you have platforms such as PayPal, Cash App, trying to think of one in Revolut, they're based out of, I believe, Europe, iTrust Bank, Venmo, some of the more popular currency apps, you are using a form of, let's say, technology that has been facilitated by blockchain technology, where currency can move faster and cheaper than before. And so when that happens and that becomes normalized, and if you're using, I know in the banks here in the US, we have, if you pay attention to your dashboard, you will see wallet show up on a lot of pages. And that's because the banking system is familiarizing us with these terms where our wallet in our bank accounts will be used to hold digital currency and then also digital assets. And so think of anything that exists in the physical that can also exist in the digital. So real estate, Miami is a great use case where they have facilitated a lot of these digital transactions. They accept, the city itself accepts Bitcoin as currency. I believe the mayor was being paid in Bitcoin. I'm sure he's very happy now. We've seen athletes accept Bitcoin for their salaries. And of course, when the market's down, it's down. But when it's up, they do very, very well. And so we see, so real estate is an example, art is an example. The NFT cycle was a big example of art, digital art as a collectible asset. And it could be anything from baseball cards to soda cans. We're looking at McDonald's. They have a new campaign where they're bringing out their retro characters where you can collect NFTs, McDonald's NFTs. You'll also get a physical product as well. Again, bringing the digital and physical together, aka Phygital, which we'll get into later. But these are just some examples of digital assets, and digital fashion has been one of the biggest use cases. And so when digital fashion came on the scene, and I was one of them, early on, people were like, who's going to wear a digital dress? Why would you wear a digital dress? And there was a big argument around sustainability. Well, you're going to reduce waste, and it's just more eco-friendly, and influencers will buy less fast fashion because now they can use these AR filters and change their clothes more often through AR. And it just didn't catch on like that. What's really going to happen is the gamification of fashion. It's the storytelling with fashion. It's the ownership and self-expression through fashion. And so when we think of collectibles, like anything you would collect from coins to gemstones, we're going to see that play into digital fashion as well. We're already seeing it, as I mentioned, Roblox and their success being in the billions of dollars in terms of revenue, mainly driven by digital fashion. Fashion is our second skin. It's how we tell our personal story, how we convey ourselves to the world without sharing a word or head nod. And so as we look for more ways of expressing ourselves, and we are creating more digital experiences and environments, our digital twins or alter egos have to get dressed. And this is where you're going to see digital fashion continue to explode. And also as a tool for storytelling, leveraging fashion as a means to create more engagement and more loyalty and more fun. So let's talk about art. We have 2D, 3D, AR. I touched a little bit on NFTs, but those are immutable, non-fungible tokens on blockchain, but you don't have to have digital assets on blockchain. What blockchain allows you to do is prove ownership and transparently see who owns it, how much was paid for the art, who bought it, who last sold it, what are the details about the art. There may be details about the materials, there may be details about the artist itself. Any form of data that can be shared can be also included on chain or on the blockchain. But art as a 2D digital asset or 3D digital asset off chain can also be something that's collected. And so again, if there is a baseball card that was created in 3D, and gaming is one of the best examples of this, where you have wearables and, upgrading levels, giving you more objects that you can collect to get more powers or access. These are digital assets. So it's not a new concept. It's just that it's something that's going to spread well beyond the gaming environment. Now, VIP passes. If anyone has been following the Web3 train, you've heard of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, a very, very successful digital asset NFT project, where if you own this digital image, you could use it as your profile picture, and you could also use it to create merchandise because it came with the rights to use that image that you purchased. You also would get invited to these exclusive yacht events and parties around the world, and you belong to this special club. So again, not a new concept. It's just a twist on an old concept. It's taking it into the future, where they attached a form of art on blockchain to a simple loyalty membership club. And so think of American Express on steroids. And so again, you're going to see this continue to expand as a way to build community, increase engagement, and tell stories. And so, we look at what is the future of social media. We're going to continue to see these micro communities grow and grow, where people feel more connected. They feel like they could be more themselves. They don't have to put on the filter of, I'm living my best life every single day. They want to have real conversations. They want to have, they want to be able to trust who they're communicating with and talking to. And so with these micro communities, they're going to come out of, new businesses and from entrepreneurs and artists before you see them coming from the larger companies. Now, some forward-thinking companies, such as your luxury fashion brands and your streetwear brands like Nike, of course, Louis Vuitton, they have been taking advantage of Web3 technologies and these concepts that I'm talking about because they know they need to in order to stay relevant now and in the future for the younger generations. So you heard me touch on digital expression, and why is this something that's so important? Well, we are in a time where we've seen the highest spikes of mental health issues. Individuals feel lonely, they don't feel seen or heard, and they're screaming for attention, they're screaming to be seen and heard. And the digital realm is one way where they can express themselves and find like-minded individuals that are also expressing themselves without the fear of being judged. And we're going to see this pour into products such as digital fashion, 3D design, models, interiors, and touching on some of the other things that I just mentioned regarding communities and clubs, etc. Again, we're seeing the numbers behind this, where 39% of consumers have already purchased digital clothing. And I just thought I wanted to share the stats around makeup, because when you think of makeup, you're like, why would someone purchase digital makeup? Again, think about the days where we used to play with physical toys. And as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, anything that can exist in the physical can also exist in the digital, and then some. And so just think of these experiences and products that are created digitally, taking the physical experience to the next level and taking personalization as well into account. And we're going to touch on this more as it relates to personalization as I get into AI. So 3D avatars, and this is an extension of expression, self-expression, where there is a call for more well-being, more centeredness, slowing down, and also having more fun. And so you're going to see, not only, if you haven't already, influencers, actors, musicians, all existing digitally only, these fictional characters. You're going to see digital characters that are being used as, let's say, puppets by real people, where they're choosing to stay anonymous, and their 3D avatar is the one that's out front in the physical world, let's say in ads or in immersive environments in 3D form, or on YouTube and other social platforms, speaking for them, dancing for them, acting for them. You're going to see more and more brands hire digital avatars with real actors that are conveying that look and feel that the brand is looking for, and making casting a whole. We're going to also see this personally used, again, where individuals want to express themselves uniquely. I have black hair, and if I wanted pink hair without going to the hair salon and dye my hair pink, I could just create an avatar with pink hair. And you know what? Maybe I'll give her polka dot hair. But this is an area where we can play and have fun. And so what most people don't think about is the psychology behind all of this technology, and why it's continuing to grow is because it addresses inherent human needs. So just going down the list, we have digital twins, where we see Meta introduce these digital twins in their metaverse world Horizon, which didn't take off so well because they were making it mandatory for you to go into these spaces and engage for work. People don't want to be forced to do something that seems to be something that you would do leisurely when you want to, especially if you aren't a gamer and if the experience isn't that great. But again, we're going to see this come back around, where individuals are able to go into 3D environments as a digital twin. We will also see influencers, celebrities, actors, musicians, etc., send their digital twins for work. I had a conversation with a young lady who is the first digital model to sign with a physical modeling agency, where she's wearing the exact outfits that her digital twin is wearing in these ads and in these digital events and concerts and things like that. So her digital twin is making money for her in the digital world, and she's also making money and appearances in the physical world. We have 3D fashion models, which I just shared an example, virtual idols, where you have these influencers that have millions of followers, maybe YouTube or Instagram. And then we have gaming characters. And so, of course, you have your traditional games like Fortnite and Minecraft, but then think of those games on the blockchain, where you can sell, trade, or buy digital assets that show and prove you are the owner. And down the line, you could potentially still earn revenue from something you sold 3 or 4 years ago, because it still traces back to you on the blockchain as being that original owner or purchaser of that item. So opening up a whole new area of revenue streams for individuals. Now let's look at commerce. And again, I hope that the creative ideas are churning as I'm going through these slides, where you can now create revenue streams around digital product sales only, digital and phygital experiences, virtual try-ons. If you're getting dressed for the next Carnival event, you can try on an outfit digitally before you choose to get it made or before you purchase it. And imagine Carnival festivals having digital try-on events. What are you going to wear? And people are sharing this experience of what they're wearing before the event. Again, a way to continue to keep that conversation going throughout the year. And not to mention, for those that are interested in how can I leverage sustainability into my narrative, it also gives a really strong story around sustainability as well. So moving on to AR, And I mentioned Snap. One of the best ways to explain, well, how do I get access to AR? What is it? Is it something that I'm interested in? You know, what are the use cases? And gaming and fashion have been some of the biggest use cases in the augmented reality space. And live events is another one where, again, you're going to be able to see a blend of digital objects, environments in a physical environment. And so using a filter on your phone is the easiest way of describing that. But there are also apps that allow you to try on different things, such as rings digitally through augmented reality filters. You can do treasure hunts. So let's say gaming in the real world, like Pokemon Go, and you could use QR codes that can activate and actually bring up an image on your phone or in the physical environment through augmented reality. You have museums that are adopting this technology to give more expanded storytelling as individuals are walking through and doing art in the museum.
Ouais, à santé.
This is something that we're going to continue to see. And again, how you can, I'm just giving you some use cases so you can think about how could I apply AR to the experiences that I have now. Imagine a float going down the street and there's a QR code that's on the float or on a poster that someone's carrying, and that takes the viewer into a whole new experience, a way of purchasing the digital version of that float or outfits that are being worn. So there's so many things that can be done, or the behind the scenes, for them to view the behind the scenes making of that float or costume, for example. And now let's look at hardware. We see Apple Vision Pro coming out. Of course, you have the Meta Quest. Meta recently partnered with Ray-Ban, introducing more stylish and more advanced goggles and more advanced opportunities for immersive storytelling. So are you going to be a part of that journey, or are you going to just kind of wait to see where it is? But think about all the individuals have these hardware devices and the content that you can create for these devices, because there's not a lot of content, and people that are spending thousands or hundreds of dollars for this hardware, they want interesting experiences. And so this is another opportunity where you can enter a space and develop a whole new community in this new arena, and while also delivering an expanded experience to your existing community. So I didn't forget about digital, which was on the last slide. I just wanted to show you an example of a physical outfit, physical design that also had its digital twin, and the digital twin sold for $6,200. So this was on blockchain, and some people really want to prove they own something because it will have more value, and or they want all the other information that comes with it. How was it made? Who made it? Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? All these different questions that can be embedded in the data on the blockchain. And so when you think about this use case, how can you apply digital to your event? Is it through the live event experience itself, where you have an immersive environment and you have the physical environment? And if I want to experience Mardi Gras, for example, but I live in Paris, I could go into the digital Mardi Gras and get dressed, design my outfit for my avatar, and it's a whole new level of experiences and opportunities for revenue stream for the event organizer. So what are some case studies? Well, we see a company called Off-White, a popular streetwear brand, partner with Roblox, as I mentioned, one of the 3D worlds, and they launched a virtual space where users could explore unique environments and experience and experiment with virtual fashion. Tommy Hilfiger had a very successful gamified virtual version of their flagship store, where you did a treasure hunt, and based on the results of the treasure hunt, you earned physical rewards. That's another example of digital. Louis Vuitton did a really cool project called Treasure Trunks, and it was uber successful, and they leaned in onto NFTs as something that you can collect for those that wanted to be a part of this members only community. So right there you see the combination again of the loyalty plus the NFTs or the digital assets. So something that was really popular around 2021 to 2022 and kind of got a little quiet are DAOs. So think of LLCs in the very early days where a lot of people really look down on LLCs as not a legitimate structure of a company, where now it's the most common form for startups. And DAOs is a new form of structure for governance, where the community has a lot of say or participation in the organization. It could be on the governance level, where they're helping to make decisions on how the company grows and what they purchase and who gets into the community, or it can just be part of the body of the organization, where they can have a say in designs that are created, if it's like merchandise or land that's being purchased or investments that's being made. But it's a structure that allows the community to participate and have a voice, but then also have ownership in the organization. So now we're going to dive into what are the opportunities using these technologies for Carnival. And I started mentioning some, I started sprinkling some ideas, but we're going to go into depth in these next few slides. So there is a whole new frontier out there for carnivals. We're talking about next level shopping, you know, in terms of e-commerce, data-driven manufacturing around costumes and floats, where you can literally track what was the most successful or most popular. Or again, if you want to create this sustainable narrative, you can have more information available to who you want to leverage that information for. You have next level virtual events. Fortnite is known for the very popular concerts that generate millions of dollars, not only in ticket sales, but also in digital fashion sales. So imagine having either a altered version of your event or a digital twin of your event and breaking the law of physics in that environment. Think of how much fun you can have, where your carnival goers can potentially fly with certain elements on their costumes. And then we have content creation and automation, where AI can be utilized to help cut down on costs and market materials and assets that are used for storytelling, where you can really expand on the storytelling, where you can create animations that couldn't necessarily be created before without a large production company or team. You can create looks and or, you know, what will this, you know, experience look like a year from now? You can do concept drawings with generative AI. You can create digital assets with AI and then sell those assets leading to up to the conference. It doesn't always have to be fashion assets. It could be anything that's collectible. It could be cups like what McDonald's doing. It could be toys and characters. It could be anything that you can imagine, but you can use AI to help create that content and automate that process for your team. There are also many apps and platforms that will allow you in your workflow to make that process more efficient, where you can use the generative AI tool as an assistant, as a researcher, as a marketer for you. Whatever role that you feel you need to fill on your team, you can use platforms such as ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude AI, if you're looking for a more private environment, to act as that assistant, to act as that individual that you may not have on your team. If you're creating contracts, for example, for new team members or sponsors or partnerships, you can tap into the generative AI tools to facilitate those workflows as well. So there's a numerous amount of things you can do from a content creation standpoint and an automation standpoint as related to AI. In terms of digital assets, we did touch on this. It is a growing it's a growing part of this whole economy. And it's an opportunity that you can get in early, but then also add this level of gamification for your community. Okay, let's dive into some more specifics. So I was just speaking about AI. We're going to go through some storytelling use cases and examples as it relates to emerging tech. So we have personalizing narratives using AI-driven content. And so depending on your audience, depending on the story you want to develop, maybe for one segment of your audience, you want to tell one story. And for another, you want to tell another story. Maybe you can empower the creatives that are participating in the event by offering them access to your tools and your platform if you decide to be the conduit for that, where you can personalize these experiences. You know, maybe for after the event, you can personalize certain objects and items for attendees. Maybe those that signed up early gets this personalized experience post-event. So there's many ways that you can use AI from a storytelling standpoint as it relates to pre and post engagement. As it relates to blockchain technology, we shared some earlier examples, but let's look at the history of Carnival and how that can be brought into digital assets. Maybe it's a location. Maybe there's specific symbols or objects that tie back into the narrative, the historical narrative of that Carnival. Maybe there are characters that had an importance to that event. And these are things that can be created and animated or put on blockchain for individuals to receive for free or to collect for future trading. In terms of AR and VR, I use the example of the float as, you know, in terms of the QR code in the parade, but imagine also creating a virtual parade that is in AR, a parade that you can experience with a Meta Quest headset or a Ray-Ban, you know, set of glasses or Apple Vision Pro. And you could take your event to these hardware devices, and maybe it only exists exclusively in those environments as well. You can have AR objects that can be collected or sold or given away for free, where they have an AR filter of, let's say, a model or avatar wearing a costume. And through that filter, you can see that avatar on your desk or on your table, for example, either at full size, like human size, or in a miniature size. So there's some really fun things that you could do. Looking at fashion, of course, as a powerful means of creating unique stories. You can create color stories or themes that you want around the Carnival, and it could just be digitally. And individuals can also maybe design their own costumes or participate. You can collaborate with different design houses or independent designers and allow those designers to connect with your community for this pre-event experience. And all these images were created with generative AI, the ones that you're seeing on the screen, by the way. By moi. I love doing fashion and art with generative AI and concept development. So let's look at engagement and communities. And as I mentioned, community building is really the future of business models. And so if this isn't a priority, and how can you create your super fans? You know, 1,000 super fans can support any business of any size. And 100 super fans, depending on what your financial goals are, can as well, because those 100 super fans, we're talking about fanatics, each of them know at least 10 people. And so when you do the math and you're able to drive this word of mouth engagement, that is the most powerful. And so what are you doing right now to create your own super fan community, engage with individuals that would never have crossed your path. So you're creating a whole new community that's, you're bringing a whole new community in, and how can these technologies help you do that? And so we talked about personalized experiences. Think about helping them with itineraries and their event planning, their, travel plans, and how you can help them, matching them with costume creators and how you can help them there, and making it more personalized, where it's truly enhancing their look and not just, oh, I saw this person on social media wearing that, I want that, but it may not be empowering them and may be the right outfit for them. So that's something to keep in mind. And how can you use data? How can you use and leverage AI for data so you can use that data for future planning and or for your sponsors if that's a needs, or better yet, for giving your community what they really want. So these are ways that you can leverage AI. Blockchain, we talked about the loyalty programs. How about rewarding your attendees with tokens? And something that we're doing with the House of Nova is we have a token economy. So think about going to the arcade. You buy these little coins that you put into the machine, and if you get a certain number of points from the machine, you get tickets and you trade those tickets in for a real prize. Well, this is something that you can do with tokens as well, where people do a certain amount of tasks. Either they're liking you on social media, they are following you or commenting or engaging in your digital environment, and they get rewarded with tokens. And if they add up a certain amount of tokens, they then get a VIP for the next year's event. Again, bringing them back. How are you bringing people back into your community, into your events? AR and VR. Again, if you haven't had the opportunity to play with augmented reality, definitely try to. And there are some companies that if you reach out to me afterwards that I can connect you with that could potentially be helpful in this journey. But again, augmented reality filters that you can use, and or with any of the assets that you're creating. Let's say you already have merchandise for your events. Imagine the digital version of that in AR that you can offer to your customers that they can use and play with after the event. Again, how do you stay top of mind throughout the year? And how do you leverage that for increased engagement or storytelling or revenue? Wearable digital outfits as a fashion use case. In emerging technology, fashion is one of the biggest drivers in adoption. And you can leverage fashion as well in your events beyond what you're doing now. So that's something to think about as well.
Nadine, regarde le credo, comment ça nous revirait de l'argent dans G4G, là.
Oh, yeah.
Mais c'est marqué.
So let's continue. Let's see. There we go. This is an example of a digital headdress that can be displayed in, let's say, a showroom that you create. You have to go into this immersive environment and pick out elements or accessories for your costume and try it on, and then you get a token or you can purchase it. And maybe purchasing this specific headdress gives you the VIP pass. There's so many fun things that you can do with these technologies. All right, money, 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 money. How do we maximize revenue potential? Okay, so data, predictive analytics for ticket sales, using this information for future forecasting, developing new revenue streams, and using generative AI tools to help facilitate that. Claude AI is a great place to start if you want a more private platform. Unless you purchase the enterprise version of ChatGPT for analytics and data aggregation, it's whatever you're collecting and putting the ChatGPT is being trained, is used to train the model. With Claude AI, which is a generative AI tool by Anthropic, they're not training on your data. So you can be more free to use more personal information in Claude. If you're using ChatGPT, I just recommend to just make whatever you're putting in anonymous. Just anonymize it, the content that you're putting in there, and you can train it that way as well. But you can go to the tools and say, here's my event. Here are the areas that I'd like to improve. Here, please generate 2 or 3 revenue ideas for me. I mean, you literally can go to the generative AI tools as a starting point. I always recommend it's where you start, it's not where you end. So you want to have someone that's familiar with, let's say, prompt engineering, understands when the machine is hallucinating, because it will lie to you. So understanding also how to use the tool, having someone on your team, or having a partner, a contractor or a vendor partner that understands the technology. So you're truly optimizing it for that information that you're using it for. We have AI powered merchandising, where you can look at your specific audience and decide what merchandise would sell the most within your audience. And you could look at what merchandise they want to purchase and then get ahead of that for next year's event as well. And again, doing the digital only or phygital approach, you can play with designs that you can never make, a profit on if you made it in the physical world, but would be something highly curated and highly desired as a couture or bespoke item in the digital world. And so think about that as well. This is just an example of a pass that you can create. Individuals could collect. They can earn tokens to receive. Again, a 3D design in a virtual environment. You can do fashion shows virtually, ahead or after or during your event. So again, another way to drive engagement. You can sell tickets to these virtual fashion shows, or you can sell digital items from the runway in those virtual fashion shows as an example of some new revenue ideas. So blockchain, some of these things I was sprinkling in during the conversation, at putting your digital assets on chain, or you get a proof attendance of coming to this event. So maybe you get a ticket digitally after attending the event, and maybe those tickets are collectible items. So that's something to think about as well. Maybe they unlock certain rewards or features. If there are side events, maybe they give you access to certain side events. You can collaborate with artists and designers to create very specific, unique art and create the certificate of ownership and put that on chain to raise the value of that art piece. You can do a digital example of that art. It exists in the real world, a framed piece of art, and you have one unique physical piece of art, but you're able to sell limited editions in the digital form. So, and the ownership certificate is attached to each of those digital editions. The individual that owned the physical art potentially, obviously they get the physical art as an added bonus, but maybe there's other things that they get, with proof that they also have the physical art as well. You can launch NFT collections. Again, if you just look up the McDonald's NFT collection that they just launched, it's uber successful, to get some ideas on, what can you do? Of course, you can come to me, but just so you can read on a very successful use case that's right now, because a lot of people feel that the NFT hype train has left and it's no longer relevant. They are very relevant. Just think about the psychology behind collecting. This is the same psychology that goes into NFTs, except it's just named, I don't know who came up with NFT as the name, but it's just a digital asset on an immutable ledger. That's what it is. So you can't change it. You can't fake it. This is what it is. Once the information is there, it can't be tampered with. So you can take a digital asset, video, music, poetry, quote, whatever you want, put it on chain, and then monetize it. Build communities around it. Sponsorships. A lot of these events are dependent on sponsors. And so being able to leverage the data and to, create these loyalty programs, to have more personalized experiences or assets. These are all things that you can use to increase your sponsorship revenue as well. So if you're giving a higher level of an experience, then you have more value that you're offering. You are increasing, retention. You're decreasing attrition. You're increasing revenue streams. You're increasing your audience and the year-round engagement of your community. So instead of just getting that one-time hit for sponsorship, you literally can have an all-year sponsor based on how you're leveraging these technologies to expand your community, expand storytelling, and expand engagement. So that is it for me. I know there's a lot of information. I hope you were taking notes. I would love to answer any questions. I am on social. LinkedIn, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I also give a lot of updates in the emerging tech industry. You can follow me as I'm speaking as well, like coming to this event. So you can always be kind of tapped in. But I'm also on X. And if you want to connect me on Instagram, it's The Real Nova Lorraine. But it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to taking your questions.
Wow, 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 wow. May I just say it's so much to take in, so much, it's very impactful. I think where I'm stuck at is I'm trying to understand AI and AR because I wasn't aware of so many fine details of how far AI can go, like the blockchain, the fashion use cases, and all these the chains. Like it's so much and so diverse. Like how does one like say, okay, let me get into this and try to focus on one thing before you go to the next? Because knowing me, I'm a person like that. I have to do one thing at a time in order for me to like take that to the next level. So how did you really and truly say, well, you know what, let me try to see how much in AI I can learn?
That's an excellent question, and I do get that often. I say start with a problem you have right now. Is it revenue? Is it, attrition? Are you not getting the same numbers or the same people coming back to your event? Is it around the costuming and what people are wearing to the event? Is it the actual planning of the event? Is it creating a team and building a team? What is the problem? And then which of the tools can you use today to solve that problem? And what that's going to do is it's going to direct you to advisors or thought leaders or platforms and technology providers. It's going to allow you to stick to creating this solution because it's really addressing a problem, because there is a learning curve. There is, not everyone is going to have the aptitude for the technology, and it's going to take patience, but it will pay off. And I encourage as many individuals on this stream to educate themselves. Find a thought leader, find a podcaster, find an author, a YouTuber, and or find two or three that you trust and keep up with them as well. Because not everyone's going to have the time to stick with follow all the headlines, read all the blogs. But if they find someone they trust in the space, that's one way to stay on top of what's coming and what's happening, and to start that educational journey. But it's going to have to align with the problem so you can stick with that pathway to open up the opportunities that can be there for you that's attached to that problem.
Or you still have on the shared screen if you, or is it that you want to leave it up? It's up to you. I mean, I just didn't know if you know. However, I have a question for you, and this one is actually from me because I never really thought about creating a character, but I'm worried. Let me just find out if I build a character, can someone steal my character? or it's just solely mine because I want my thing to be mine. Like if that's my twin, you know, who could be twinning with me?
Yeah, no, it's so much fun creating a character, and no one can steal your character. It's usually tied to your email account. If you're signing into one of these platforms to create it, an easy way to play is if you go into spatial.io, and it's partnered with Ready Player Me, and it allows you to really easily create a character from scratch. So you could at least see the process. The outfits are horrible. I'm just going to warn you, in my opinion. Not that excited about the fashion at all. There could be a lot more personalization as it relates to like just what you can choose in terms of hair. Oh gosh, forget. Anyway, but it gives you a foot in the door and in terms of the process. But you can create a custom avatar as well, which I do often for either individuals or myself for the different projects I'm working on. And it could be in 2D or it can be in 3D. It can be a still character or it can be animated. But if you try spatial.io, it's a great way to see what immersive environment is like, as well as an avatar. Omniverse is another platform if you want to experiment, and there's some opportunities there if you want to talk to me as it relates to creating a custom experience. That's an awesome platform that would allow you a hyper realistic experience.
Okay. So I know because a lot of persons, one of the reason why you won't get like all the questions when it comes to AI, a lot of the times we find persons not really knowledgeable, so they don't know how to pose questions so they could really get the answers that they are looking for. I would see someone like Raine Cummings, who is also from Trinidad and Tobago, who speaks highly on AI criminology, and in every different parts of what she does, everything is AI, and she tries to teach people how to do that as well. How can persons say we can, say myself, reach out to you to learn some of the dynamics, because to really and truly, you started with a blank canvas here.
Yes, please, absolutely. One of the reasons why I wrote The Jockey on the Horse is for that reason, to give a practical, easy to understand guide on AI and its role in various industries, as well as use cases, but how we can take the lead in taking this tool and leveraging it for opportunity. And
Right.
so I do a lot of workshops on working with different institutions and creating unique and custom curriculums as well. I think it's imperative that we as a community educate ourselves. If we like it or not, the genie is out of the bottle, and it is the absolute disruptive technology for all industries. And so some are more protected now, but when we look at a landscape in 5 to 10 years, where are you going to be? On the leading edge? At the back of the train is what I say. Are you going to be at the station seeing the train take off without you? Where are you going to be in this journey? And it's everyone's choice where they want to be. But I'm absolutely able to talk to anyone that's interested in learning and pointing them in the right direction and or guiding them as well. Because I do a lot of guest lecturing as well.
Awesome. Because when I think about some of the things that you spoke on and you actually touched on Meta, I thought about it in the sense of we had about two or three, in fact, about three or four major events here in Trinidad where they spoke highly on AI, and they actually tried to enhance or teach persons how to use it on their day-to-day basis as well. I'm yet to touch on the meta side of things. I don't know why. Is it that I'm not sure if it's because I'm totally just busy, or is it that I believe that um it wouldn't do as much. But now when I see that you're saying that you could actually use it with fashion, and that's all me. Like I can see myself dress up in the thing and then probably try to create it all over again. So it actually has the parts of it where it's very intriguing. and very insightful for me to even want to try, because if I was scared before, I'm no longer scared because a lot of the times we think about intellectual property and your information getting out there. So I would be kind of kind of standoffish about it. But now seeing that, I mean, I don't know if you're coaxing me into it, Nova, you're getting me into you're making me like it. You're making me like it.
Well, I really think that how we engage is going to be incorporating more gaming, more fun. I mean, we are craving that as a global collective. And we're going to see the convergence of gaming and storytelling and fashion, come together in ways and in industries that we haven't seen before. We have self-expression. We have, social engagement. And, these are the reasons why people are drawn to these spaces. I mean, just look at the numbers. And it's who are going to be the early adopters, who are going to be the laggers. That's really what the conversation is about. There's no right or wrong. And, 3D environments are a way to expand the story. It's a way to play again. And we're craving for more play. And so if we just look at, from a sociological standpoint, this is the trend because the human collective is calling for it. And so it's coming if we like it or not. And so I'm glad you got excited about it, because
I am.
for someone that yeah, it is
no, because, okay. So
but I do.
I am always scared when it comes to things like my email, my password, my this, my that. That's natural. But then in hindsight is that I do social media marketing and management, but I've never really used AI generated things. I'm one of those people who would sit down and think about all the concepts that I want to figure out how I want it to look like, go through the hard process of actually creating anything that I want to be done, and then post it up. But now here you are, letting me feel all nice about this AI thing. And and want me to now get all creative with it. Why wouldn't I not get excited to make my one of the many jobs that I do easier?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say, not it does take some training, learning the tools, and some patience. But if you aren't able to do it yourself, that's okay. Have someone do it for you, because there's still this beautiful thing when you see the creation that was created for you. It's the expression of you. Maybe an alter ego or a digital twin, or maybe you want an asset created that's not an avatar wearing clothes. So I think it's just an extension of who you are and choosing a new way of expressing yourself.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you think you want to leave us with before we close off this session? I believe it was very insightful. I learned so much. Still so much to try to retain. So I hope that the taping of this video, I get some of the information back so I could kind of do some research on my own, and also do my own digging as well, because as well I am thinking about how best I can use this format, and it's more than I expected, because the thing is, as much as we hear about the AI, I really did not know it had so many other moving parts like the AR and all these other things. So now you really and truly taught the masses today. You taught some. If you think you didn't teach somebody, you taught me for sure. So yes, and I want to say thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge. I mean, you're so young, and you know so much when it comes to artificial intelligence and chat GPT and all these things. You really and truly set for life with that type of information, I would say.
Oh, I appreciate that. And some parting words is that this little girl from Jamaica, from the country, is able to send something to the moon. So there are no limits, no limits. And it's not where you start, it's how you finish. So take one baby step, upskill, find a problem you want to solve, either in your personal life or your career or business life, and pick one technology, just one, and run with it. As relates to AI, and more specifically generative AI, I also advise, at the very least, just stay on top of what's happening, how the markets are changing, and how you can stay relevant and adapt to what's coming. And how can we as a community, as a global community, leverage these technologies to take us to a level that we would never reach? That's what's so exciting here. There is no ceiling anymore. And so take advantage of that. Let the technologies break those ceilings for you. And thank you so much to Lorraine, Tony, this beautiful community for hosting me today.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nova. Thank you. Thank you. We actually had one more question. It was from Pax. He said, how environmentally friendly is the use of NFT and all that currently, considering a lot of computers around the world have to be on as we use and wait while crypto is being done?
Excellent question. Yes, you do need electricity to power these computers. It is an issue that's being tackled when we're looking at using a digital asset over a physical asset. The physical asset uses many more resources than the digital asset. So with a direct to direct comparison, you're going to be using less resources on the physical side. So if you're looking at a sustainable narrative for something that you're doing physically, then the digital version will absolutely address that. And yes, it's with AI especially, and the CPU power that it's going to need, there are alternative energy sources that are being looked at as we speak to be able to support this growing digital world that we're building. So it is something that's being worked on behind the scenes.
Okay.
I'll just add that the amount of electricity that it takes to produce clothing is probably much more than what it in the physical world than it would be in the digital world, I would assume.
100%.
So on that note, we will thank everybody for attending these past 3 days. They have been totally informational, educational, and we're very, very happy for everybody that has shown up to take part in this. We'd like to thank our speakers for giving us all of this great knowledge. We'd like to thank our moderators here at the Global Carnival Summit for making those great transitions from question and speakers. And we'd like to thank all of those who worked with us to get us to this point. I hope that everybody has enjoyed it. I'll pass it over to Raine at this point.
Thank you so much, Tony. And thank you to really everyone, our panelists, speakers, our moderators, everybody who attended for the last couple of days. It's been really magical. It's one thing when we set out an idea and, we say to ourselves, already 2 years ago, let's create something about the World Carnival. And it starts really as this little seed that has grown into something, and here we are today. I can't tell you all how grateful I am to each and every one of you for being here and to see that together, when we put our ideas together, we can really make something magical happen. And really, for me, I don't think we've invented the words for me to express how happy this makes me. I'll just take a moment to thank our partners and sponsors, from Mojo to Groupe 3737 to Mask Gin, Taste of the Caribbean, Global Carnivals, Playmass Montreal, Straight Vodka, OFC Community, Westcan Folks, and Afrobeats Montreal. And really, we look forward to seeing you all next year. And we have a couple of months now to work and make this whole magic happen. And at the same time, you will all receive a little bit of a survey to give us your comments, feedback on how you thought the last couple of days have gone. And I would love to maybe open the mics to everyone if you have something you'd like to share before we part.
I would just like to say I would want to reflect on some of the things that we have been through together as a collective. I would like to say thank you to each and everyone who has been making the time to be here with us. I would send my deepest gratitude as well to the esteemed panelists because it takes a lot to come up with these slides, to be here on the times that you have to be here at in different time zones, as well, your willingness to share and to educate, to keep us engaged as well with all the information that you have, the thought-provoking discussions that came up. Of course, as you mentioned, Lorraine, special thanks to all the persons who have sponsored generously to ensure that this event happened, and so too soon enough the Montreal World Carnival's event, to all the persons who have stuck with us as the audiences, and to show the enthusiasm and ask questions and partaking. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to, of course, to you all, the organizers, Tony, Lauren, Gemma, Pax, anybody else who has been on board, I want to say thank you so much for thinking of me to have me on as a moderator and induct me as your Carnival cultural ambassador. So I'm very much happy about that. And I look forward to doing so many awesome things with you and the entire team in the future. And all those who have been on board as well, the panelists. I comment. I will be there. So thank you so much. And I'm off the floor. So anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to thank, on behalf of World Carnival Commission, as well as representing Global Carnivals, who put more time, who put in-kind support for me to be helping with the conference, as well as, the organization that Tony and Lorraine are involved in, as well as also the whole Carnival community. It's not very easy. I think we just come back from the last presentation done here. It's not very easy for our community to be able to access most of these things. Things like ChatGPT and so on. They are there. They are so easy for people to do applications, but it's not very easy to actually access those things. So getting conversations like this going on is very good. And also Carnival itself as a whole. I'm so grateful about Lorraine and Tony coming up with this, because we were going to do this with World Carnival Commission. And next year we'll be doing a partnership with the organizations as we do something with the World Carnival Commission, which is going to be a one-week conferences and culture meetings. But the most important thing about this is sharing, which has been really important for this. Most people, when they have situations whereby things can't work, like the way this conference was going to be, because the most crucial thing about conferences is networking, speaking with each other, sharing things, which doesn't happen every day. So when you get people getting effort and energy, like everybody here, to make sure that everybody understands about everything, digital technology, commerce, and things that we need to do for our culture. So this is really crucial. And I'm just going to say thank you for everybody who's here and those who are listening and those who are around. Because as I say, when this changed from being in real life to online, most people just say, oh, forget it. But you all put your energy and continue doing it. So thank you, everybody.
Facts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just want
Anybody
to
else?
say thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say thank you on behalf of the other team members of Montreal World Carnival. That's not on, that you cannot see right now. But I want to say on behalf of the rest of the team, thank you. I thank you to Lorraine and Tony. When they told us it was going to be virtual, I couldn't wrap my head around it, but it looks so easy, but it's not easy. Believe me, these two people really, really worked to make this a success. And kudos to Tony and Lorraine. And thank you very much on behalf of the rest of the team of Montreal World Carnival.
Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think thank you is what everybody's probably thinking, because it has been such a fabulous experience. And to meet people from all the different aspects of Carnival is very helpful, and to listen to how skilled and how everybody, the expertise that's out there, to make all the different things happen and the different experiences here. So here in London, we do have all those security issues. And as Chris was speaking about, it's like, oh yeah, well, I lived through that bit and I lived through that bit. But I think that the other thing is that we don't know who the participants have been. We don't as panelists. So it would be very interesting to see and know more about what they thought about what they heard and what recommendations they might make. So for the next one, you get ideas from people who attended about things that they would like to know, or developments from something that they heard. I think that there's a bigger world than what we've got today, that because it was virtual, we probably had more people tapping in that would have been able to come if it was physical. So I think that it would have been a blessing to be able to do this. So because actually if it hadn't been virtual, then we couldn't have seen all of every single thing that was there. So it was able to sit down here and do something and let it run and watch and dip in and do what you needed to do and still be there. So I think it was absolutely wonderful that it was virtual. And so thank you so much. And it did seem so effortless. So we really do appreciate Lorraine and Tony and Gemma and the whole team for actually coming up with the idea and taking it forward and building it like you have. And I know that there are lots of other people who have been sending me messages. Oh, did you see that bit? They're like, so people have really enjoyed being a part of this. So we look forward to, as you say, looking back at the different things that happened, and being able to just sit down and take it all in, and being able to meet everybody again via those recordings and to share them with all the people who couldn't be here. So this has got a bigger legacy, because once you put these online, it can carry on forever. People revisiting, seeing what's happened, and younger people coming up, and we can continue directing people to the site to see the recordings. So I think that is better than a live one, because it will go on forever. And I think there's something really, really fantastic about that. So well done, you guys. Well done. Thank you so much.
I'll give you 2 minutes as well, Lorraine and Tony. All the people are really impressed by what you put together and the scope, actually, of from cultural to high tech to even sustainability in the middle. So you really, really put the table for something outstanding. We have so many contact and technologies and all that. I'll be more than pleased to put ideas together and throw it your direction. But I'm very honored to be part of that. And you set the table for an ongoing story here. And I want to congratulate you big time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alors, juste le dernier mot, c'est difficile de parler après vous tous, et ça sera la touche de minorité et de couleur et de langue. Je suis très fière et très honorée. On a réalisé quelque chose d'extraordinaire grâce à vous tous, et je lève mon verre parce que c'est le Beaujolais nouveau en France, et je lève mon verre. Cheers!
Cheers! Cheers!
Yes, but it's the night, it's evening for me.
Oui. Ça va,
Merci,
c'est correct.
merci. À très bientôt. Merci.
Merci,
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. And again, let's work towards the festival, and then right after that, let's try to get another conference going and see what kind of. I know that there'll be a lot of collaborations and partnerships that come out of this. So I can't wait to hear everything at the next conference.
For sure, and we'll be in touch, and there'll be a post event report for everyone to see, and we'll gather some of the stats and share everyone's contacts, because I know I can say that this is the start of a beautiful relationship and collaboration between so many of us. So I'm looking forward so that we all share our expertise and grow, so that we make carnivals better and bring back the history, as we were saying in some of the panels, which is very important to educate everyone.